Welcome into the Monday Morning Quarterback UK with your boys Ben, Bids and Dami. Just wanted to say off the bat, sorry we haven't put much out in the last few weeks. Life just kind of got in the way. Dami's been traveling the world, get himself out there trying to be an Adidas influencer, and Bids is just lazy in it. So Dami, what's been
How's this on me?
Dami, what's been going on? You went to Germany and about 8 other countries, I heard.
Yeah, so Adidas took me out to Germany. I was one of 60 people. They took us out for a football tournament, kind of to help celebrate the Three Stripes Festival. So it's been 75 years of Adidas. So they had a massive festival on their campus, and then we played a football tournament kind of like in the center of it. And then afterwards they had Run DMC, a Queen tribute band, and another artist really big, Rudimental, performed as well. So yeah, it was just like a really party festival atmosphere. And then the winners of that got to play against the legends, so Roberto Carlos, Digital Cisse, Claudio Pizarro, and some other like ex-Germany players, and also the CEO of Adidas, which was cool. And then as you do. And then they also got to go to the Belgium-Slovakia game, which Belgium lost. So, and they got VIP hospitality at the whole work. So, yeah.
You didn't make it to the final?
Nah, I didn't make it to the final. There's politics involved. I can't talk about it right now. There's politics. So
the funny thing is, so the people who won it get VIP. They get to play the legends, and the people who else are playing, you don't get anything. Like you don't even get just regular seats.
Nah, we got home. Yeah, we got to go to the Irish pub in Nuremberg. That was all right.
You were lucky to be there, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly, man. I can't complain. I got a free holiday out of it, so yeah, fair. I'm blessed. Yeah, what about you, Biz? What did you get up to?
Last couple of weeks, wedding season. There's a couple coming. Obviously, Ben's in a few months, which no one's excited for. I was at one of my old schoolmates' weddings 2 weeks ago, Saturday, which was good. And this weekend, Elle's sister had a baby a couple of weeks ago, so we've been up to see him a couple of times. We'll see him again. Guy's getting big. He needs to start paying rent soon.
He's got bills. He's got money on the light bill.
Bills. Yeah, a lot going on. I've been traveling around as well, but just not different countries like Dami. There's been Essex and Derby.
It's a different kind of vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard Derby's nice. It's quaint.
What do you mean you've heard, Dami? You've probably been there, man. You're a journeyman traveller.
No, what's it? Lola lives around those ends, no?
But you've probably played 18th Division Derby League football or something.
Yeah, I just turn up at Egham on a random night playing where Bids is as well. That was
jeez,
one of the strangest moments of my life. Running into you at training when you live 4 hours away.
Guy just loves a bit of random football, man.
Ben, what about you, man? Just wedding planning still, or just sitting around
wedding planning,
ordering food?
Bit of both. Yeah, man. I was a bit ill, but outside of that, all good. I'm always ill, but of course I am. Yeah. But yeah, wedding planning, man. It's getting down to it. Also, no one's excited. You're in the wedding.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
There's a part of the wedding, and you're like, yeah, no one's excited for that. What is wrong with you?
You picked me. I didn't pick myself.
You could say no. Actually, no. Let's not go down that
road. You making me do your wedding speech as well, and I've tried to say no. You just won't let me know.
I want to hear some stuff.
You don't, trust me. Everything
I want to hear what you got to say.
I've had to scratch about 10 times because I read it to people, and they say you can't say any of that.
Oh, wait, what's he trying to say?
I don't even know, man. He's been getting help from his brother. That is definitely it. Cause
no, I'm telling you, I've been writing some stuff. I think it's good stuff. It's obviously abusive, and they say you can't say that. I don't get it.
You know,
he's just a bad guy.
Be there, right?
That's why I can't say it. It's their fault.
Wow. All right, cool. Well, let's just get into it because I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's get into it. So I think we said a few weeks ago we were going to look at teams, wins, losses, how many we expect they're going to get, over or under. Dami, I know you were keen for this. So we'll split it up. We'll do AFC in one episode and NFC in another, because otherwise we'll talk for 3 hours, and I know you lot don't want to hear that. So we'll start with AFC. Bids, talk to us. Where are we starting? In the East?
Yeah, we'll start AFC East. We just got the win-loss percentage on. I think, Dami, you pulled this together. What's the what betting website did you use?
I can't remember. It was definitely an American one.
Okay.
I think it was like Free Odds Checker or something like that.
Yeah, so we use Free Odds Checker, and I'll just run through each team, each division, and we'll see how the guys do. So we'll start with the AFC East. We'll start with the Bills. So their odds with wins are over 10.5. What are you saying?
What do you think, Dami?
I say probably they will get over 10.5. I think they got 11 wins last season, and they had an awful middle of the season where they lost maybe 4 or 5 in a row. I just can't see a team with Josh Allen. I know he's captain interception, but he will find a way to get them 6-7 wins. Honestly, he is that good. That conference, I have no idea what the Jets are going to be like. I have no idea what the Patriots are going to be like. So I think there's probably some easy wins in there for him. I'm sure he'll beat some of the weaker teams in the AFC and any teams they play in the NFC. They're bound to get 10 wins minimum, I think. So yeah, I think 11, getting over 10.5 is not a stretch. What about yourself, Ben?
I've gone 10. So I think under 10.5 just. I think they get 10. Who's on their defense now? I don't even know.
Yeah.
They had to gut their whole defense, man. They're going to be. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be Chiefs of Chiefs of 2019, where they had to put up 35 because they were definitely going to concede like 30.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. He's going to have to put up some big games, and big game Josh Allen throws a lot of picks. Like, when he's required to just start throwing the ball around because the defense can't hold up, he has to start throwing it a lot. He's better when they have a run game and he can complement it with his running and then a few good passes. Like, he can throw the ball. I'm not saying he can't, but when he has to push the ball down the field, he gives up the ball a lot, and that defense doesn't look like it can hold anybody at the moment for me. So I think they'll still get wins. That's no question. You've got the Jets and the Patriots. I think that's 4 wins right there. And I don't think their strength of schedule looks too bad. Like, there's a few wins in there that I think are relatively straightforward, just because Josh Allen's such a big-time player. He can pull out wins. So he's a big runner of the ball, which will cause teams problems. And it's not like they don't have some weapons, but yeah, I don't see more than 10, really. I mean, I could be wrong, but they're getting worse. They're not getting better. I don't see them getting as many wins as they got last year when they're a worse team.
Yeah,
and the Jets are better. The Jets will be better.
But you're saying, their defense is significantly worse. So surely they're going to play complementary football and they're going to run the ball even more just to get that time of possession in their hands and reduce the amount of time that their defense is on the field. Surely that's something, because like Joe Brady came in and completely changed the offense, but he basically said we're just going to run it with Josh and with and Cook. So why won't they just do the same again?
But that's assuming your defense can actually hold up when they don't have possession. You can't run the ball and have possession for 60 minutes.
I mean,
if they're down 2 touchdowns going into the second half, which is, I don't think, unreasonable for a Bills team that was definitely down a couple of touchdowns in games where they had an okay defense. Like, now they've had to gut their whole defense because they had no money. I don't know how that defensive unit, with so many changes as well. We've spoken about the capital that players build over time. They need time to build, so I think they could get better towards the second half of the season. I see more wins coming at the back half, but I would not be surprised if they're 2-5 in the first 7, and then start to bring it back, and maybe they come back and I don't know, finish up 10-7, something like that. Like, could be a good stretch at the end, but I don't know, man. I don't see more wins or the same number of wins as last year when their team is just worse.
Okay, because last year they finished on 11-6.
Yeah, I think they regress slightly. I don't think they regress loads, because I think the defense will pick it back up, and I think I think they will go back to more of a complementary brand of football, but I think that's difficult when your defense is so inconsistent at the start, which is what I expect.
Okay.
But we're not too far off. You said 11, I said 10.
Yeah, fair. Moving on to the Dolphins. Over under 9.5.
I'll go first this time for that.
Yeah.
I like over 9.5. I like Waddle, Tua. I know we're not going to do a lot of like memes and stuff like that, but I know that Hawk Tour has been going around that have you seen that people have been betting on the Hawks and Tour, so the Hawks to win the NBA and Tua Tagovailoa to be the MVP. Killing me.
No.
Anyway, I know that was off topic, but we were talking about the Dolphins, and that absolutely killed me when I saw it. I was like, someone's actually put a tenner on that. I saw someone put $10 on the Hawks and Tua. I was like, this is just brazen.
Yeah,
brazen.
Man.
I thought you'd appreciate that. Anyway, I like him to be better, a little better. 11 wins could be a stretch, so maybe could be 10, but I like over 9.5 for sure. More time with Hill, more time with Waddle. Tua is still fine. I don't think he's an outstanding quarterback, but I see them being better, right? Like or similar to last year. They won 11 wins last year. They've got them dropping a win minimum. I was like, really? Are they going to be much worse? I don't see how they're going to be a lot worse. They could be slightly worse, maybe 10, but over 9.5 feels like an easy one for me.
Okay, I wouldn't say I disagree with you. I think my only reservation with Tua is that it seems he can't get it done in the cold. He really struggled. He really struggled against the Bills in both games against the Bills. He really struggled against the Kansas City Chiefs in the cold. It seems that if he's not in that Miami Heat, he basically forgets how to play football. So that's my only reservation about him. I think the team is an excellent team. Jalen Ramsey's going to be fit, hopefully for a whole season this time. And you have Hill, you got Waddle, like you still got. I think you still got Mostert. But that team overall is just an incredible team. It's a track team. But yeah, that's my only fear. Can Tua actually improve? Or can he maintain the level he has? And can he actually perform in cold weather? Because at the moment, there's no evidence to say that he can.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess the only thing when you're looking at that from a wins-losses perspective, when does it actually start getting cold and when do we consider cold weather games? I guess the postseason definitely. But like December onwards?
December, yeah.
Yeah. But so if you're looking at it, so their fixtures. So we'll start from, because obviously we'll skip past, because they're in Buffalo at the 3rd of November. I don't think that's considered a cold weather game. It's not going to be warm, but it's not cold weather. But even if you include that, they're in LA with the Rams on the 12th of November. They're home to the Raiders, home to the Patriots for the next two. 29th of November, they're in Green Bay. So that could be cold, but borderline cold, fair enough. Home to the Jets on the 8th of December. Away to the Texans. That's not going to be that cold on the 15th of December. They're home to the 49ers. They're home to the 49ers on the 22nd of December. Then, admittedly, they are away for the next two in Cleveland against the Browns and in New York for the Jets. So that's fair. Those will be cold. Those will be cold games with the Browns and with the Jets. So that's fair. But I'm only seeing 2, maybe 3 cold weather games where he may be impacted at the end of the season there. That's all. So I think the schedule plays favourably if that's your concern, which is a valid concern because we've seen how cold weather can affect his game. But if that Bills game in Buffalo was like December or moving towards like end of December, I'd be a lot more concerned. It's beginning of November, or was it beginning of November? I said 3rd of November. I'm not overly worried about that as a cold weather game. They could still lose because it's against Buffalo in Buffalo, but I don't think the cold's as much of a factor this year as maybe it was last year with some of their fixtures. But totally valid concern.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, moving on to the Patriots. This one's kind of harsh.
You can go first here, Dami.
Over under 4.5.
Who's their new quarterback again? Who's the Patriots' new quarterback again?
I thought it was going to be you.
Wow.
They need someone to try out.
What
Drake May?
I mean, he's got an arm, but is he going to be ready in time? Has that team got the weapons to help him? I don't know. It seems like, so what I've heard is Gerard Mayo is just a younger version of Belichick. I guess maybe with some more modern coaching tactics, but I can't imagine.
Well, he played for Belichick, right?
Yeah, but I can't imagine much is going to change. If I'm being honest, they did significantly underperform last year. They had Christian Gonzalez got injured quite early on in the season, and he's a star. So maybe he comes back and makes a difference. But and they've still got They've still got Judon, who's excellent in the defense. But I don't know.
Is Drake May even going to start?
I think he will.
Yeah, I think they'll have to.
I think he has to.
Unless there's a significant reason why he wouldn't, i.e. injury or really looks poor in training camp, I think you start him, because as soon as you lose your first game, which, let's be honest, ain't going to be long, they'll be calling for him to play anyway, so it might just be worth just give him the go-ahead straight away.
Yeah, and you can't really spend is it the second overall pick on a quarterback and not start him, or just any player really? You can't just
particularly when you've been so bad as well in the past.
Yeah, I think 4.5 is probably just about right.
So you're gonna get 5 wins.
Where are you going? Are you going over or under?
I'll go over, but 5. 5. Barely.
Fair enough.
Ben?
I've got 4. They were 4-13 last year. I can't see how they're going to be much better. They could scrape 5, of course they could, but this Jets team are going to be, in theory, better. Like, yes, I've been critical of Aaron Rodgers' return from Achilles injury, but the team isn't worse. Like, the team fundamentally isn't worse. So they will go on to the Jets situation next, but for me, they're not fundamentally worse. So I think that's a tough out for them. That's not a win easily. You ain't getting comfortable wins against the Bills or the Dolphins. So in division, they're in real trouble. Out of division, their fixtures don't look fantastic. They're in Cincinnati. They're home to the Seahawks, away to the 49ers, home to the Texans, which isn't an easy fixture, away to the Jags, away to the Titans, away to the newly improved Bears, home to the Rams, away to the Cardinals, home to the Chargers. Like, okay, I can see maybe 3 wins there. They'll probably scrape another one, but I don't see where that 5th win is even coming from. I don't see it. But you never know. Drake May could pick it up, and towards the end of the season, teams start to kind of fall away. They could pick up 1 or 2 wins at the end and end up being a 5-win team, but I'm not so sure.
Interesting.
So I'm sticking with 4.
Interesting. Okay. On to the New York Jets. Over or under 9.5 wins? Start with you, Ben.
Under. Yes, they're going to be better in theory. I see them being a lot better. They'll be a bit better. I think the team is functionally better, and with Rodgers back, in theory, should be better. I have concerns over his Achilles. I don't think their schedule is that favourable for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. There are some wins in there I can see, but I've got them at 7 at the moment. I guess they could get. Yeah, I guess they could get an 8th win, but I wouldn't feel confident going over 9.5 for sure. Like 9.5's a lot for a team that has historically struggled, and I think a lot of those wins are being laid at Aaron Rodgers' feet. Like, these are wins because Aaron Rodgers is so amazing, and I'm like, when was the last time he was amazing? Doesn't mean he can't be functionally good in that system, but I don't see how he's going to be the game winner as opposed to just avoiding being a game loser like many of the previous Jets quarterbacks have been. But it remains to be seen, right? There's a lot of unknowns with that team, but I don't see 10 wins. I don't see 10 wins.
The bookies are backing them from somewhere, because they got them rivaling the Dolphins for that 2nd place in the AFC. So
yeah, I mean, if you look at the schedule, right? In fact, let's hear from Dami first, and then I'll talk about the schedule.
I agree with you. I don't think they're going to get 9.5. I see them maybe getting 8 or even 9. I think
Sure.
he can make a difference in a couple of those games where they were tight, their defense was playing lights out, but they just didn't have the offensive talent. I think, wasn't there a game they played against the Patriots, which was like the worst game you've ever seen, where it was like, I think it ended up like 3-0 or something crazy.
Hot garbage would be a nice way of describing it.
Yeah, like he can make that difference. He's definitely better than Zach Wilson. So yeah, he can make a difference. But I don't think offensively, their coordinator and their scheme and the players they have are good enough to increase their wins by 3. I think they're good enough to increase it by 1, make a marginal gain. But yeah, I'm saying 8, maybe 9 at best.
And I think it's Aaron Rodgers again for me. Like, did you guys see the stuff where he skipped mandatory minicamp?
Ain't no way.
So you know,
skip mandatory camp.
He was in Egypt. So, and Robert Saleh described it an inexcused absence or an unexcused absence. So I'm a bit like, okay, one of his big criticisms in Green Bay was like, look, effectively the narrative was, why would he show up to OTAs and why would he show up to minicamp and things like that with a team that he's not really that invested in? It's not a team he's built. It's not a team that they really respect him. He was throwing his toys out the pram really in his last year in Green Bay, right? I think that was generally the narrative, and I don't think he really ever denied that. He was just kind of like, look, I want out, and I don't really love this team. I'll show up when I show up. You guys are paying me. It is what it is. And then he left to the Jets, right? Where they gave him everything he asked for. He asked for everything. He was like, give me what I need. Cool. Bring 2 wide receivers who one of them definitely shouldn't even be playing in the league anymore in Randall Cobb. Love me some Randall Cobb. Shouldn't be there. Like, he's not. No one believes that he could play in a team professional anymore. And he didn't really get any downs last year. Like, so it's quite clear, right? Like they didn't even play him because they was like, well, why would we play him? We don't want to play him anyway. We only played him because of Aaron Rodgers. We only got him because Aaron Rodgers is here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and who else did they bring over? What's his name? They brought over another wide receiver. Can't remember his name from Green Bay. Liz Lazard, yeah. So again, I'm a bit like, and now you've skipped mandatory minicamp in the Jets facility in your first season for them. Bearing in mind you snapped your Achilles within 5 minutes of playing for them. This would be the one where you're like, you should be at this mini camp, like building those relationships, actually playing with them. And he may have done some throw-in with them towards the end of last season, you know, when his Achilles was starting to heal a little. And maybe they've done some stuff in the summer. I've not seen anything about that, and no one's mentioned anything. But maybe it's been happening behind closed doors. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. But to then not show up to mandatory minicamp, you know when it is. It's the same time every year, and you were there last year.
And he's been in the league for 50 years.
It just all feels classic narcissistic Aaron Rodgers. Like, it doesn't matter where he is. This is who he is. He's shown who he is. He's not that fussed. You've got to pay me. I'm amazing, and I'll carry the team when it comes down to it. But that hasn't happened in like 4 years. Like, and that was one Achilles surgery ago. So I'm not confident in Aaron Rodgers, really. I don't see it, to be honest.
I don't want to sidetrack the
7,
conversation. 8. But do you think Aaron Rodgers is actually dedicated to winning football games?
No. Where's the evidence?
Or does he just
change, or is that how he's always been?
No, because he showed up to stuff before. Like, he has, when he cared at Green Bay, he was showing up stuff. He was a little bit, you know, chilly and standoffish, but like he showed up to things, but towards the end he didn't. And now I think 'cause he's the end of his career, he's like I'm only going to show up when it matters. You know, it's like a good example. I don't know, like a football example would be like Ledley King when he played for Spurs when he hopped to the knee injury. He was like, I'm just going to play. But yeah, it's not the same kind of.
Couldn't train.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sorry, it's more like it's not the same demeanor. It's not the same approach. But it's like I will play on the game. I can't do anything else in the middle. I'll play the games. It's not the same demeanor. It's not the same approach. I'm trying to liken it to something, but I can't. I have nothing I can really liken it to right now. But I'll do it on the night. Give me just the game and I'll do it. When? Not in the last 4 years. You haven't done it in Green Bay in 4 years. So when's this happening? So, and I'm just looking at the schedule, right? I said I was going to comment on the schedule. So I'll just quickly whiz through it. Away to so you tell me when you see a win, yeah, like you're like that's a good opportunity. Now obviously there's wins that come from surprising places, that happens with every team every year, but let's just whiz through it. So away to the 49ers, away to the Titans, home to the Patriots, yep, cool.
I think
home to the Broncos,
Titans as well.
Okay, so away to the Titans, home to the Patriots, home to the Broncos, so that's potentially 3. Away to the Vikings, maybe. Yeah, that's a toss-up, I would say. That's a 50-50. Home to the Bills. That's tough. Away to the Steelers. That's tough. Away to the Patriots. Yeah, that's we're getting up to 4, maybe 5 wins. Home to the Texans, a Texans team that played very well last year.
Yeah, no joke.
Away to the Cardinals.
Yes.
Yeah, away to the Cardinals. Yeah, can see that. Home to the Colts. Yeah, could maybe see that.
I'm not sure about the Colts. The Colts are pesky.
Home to them though, but yeah, you could call that a toss-up again, 50-50, right? Home to the Seahawks, again, probably a toss-up, but you could say they're favourites in that game. You could say that, fine. Away to the Dolphins,
No.
that's tough. Away to the Jags,
No.
don't know what the Jags are going to be this year, but okay, even if you gave that to that, yeah, even if you gave that to a win. Home to the Rams, Rams are a tough out. Away to the Bills. And home to the Dolphins. I count 7-8 wins. So for me, that's what it feels like to me. They'll lose a game they should probably win, and they'll win a game they probably shouldn't. Maybe 1 or 2 either way, which could push them up to 8, maybe 9 wins. I'm not seeing how they're anywhere near getting 10. I don't know where that 10 wins coming from. I don't even know where the 9 wins are coming from, to be honest. But that's just how I see it right now.
Okay. Should we move on to the AFC North?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
cool.
Okay. All right, we're going to start with the Ravens.
You go ahead first, Dami.
11.5 wins.
Yeah, I can't see them getting any worse this year. I think they're going to maintain their level. So they had 13 wins last year. I can see them. They do have a very hard strength of schedule. It's a tough one. I still see them as being the class. I still see them being a top 3 team in the conference, purely because Lamar is excellent. They've got a great running game. I think their passing game will get better. They have lost some defensive talent. I think they lose Patrick Queen, I think, which could be huge for them, because linebacker was probably the most important position in the league last year, just because of how linebackers were used. But 11 wins, 11.5, I can see them getting 12, maybe not 13 again. I think it's so tough, and if Joe Burrow's back, that's going to be a tough division. So, yeah, I can see 12.
Okay, Ben.
I got 11. Strength of schedule is the main reason, to be honest. I had a look, and there's just a lot of games where I'm like, you're going to have to play really well, and then you should win, but it's not really a given. We don't really know what to expect from this Bengals team, but I think they're going to be a lot better. We'll get onto that. I mean, with Joe Burrow coming back, we don't know what his injury and return will be like. That's often the case, right? When someone returns from a long-standing injury like that, or a long injury like that. But 13 wins is a lot to expect, considering they have a much harder schedule and a harder division. A team they're going to have to play twice, where those wins are not guaranteed at all. So even if they split that game, those 2 games with the Bengals, which would not be unreasonable, those other games they've got, I mean, we don't have to go through every game, but like, I'm struggling to see games where you're like, or a lot of games in a row where you're like, yeah, you'll go on like a 4 or 5 win stretch here, which is often what you'll get is a team where you'll go on like a good stretch of maybe 4 wins and 1 loss or something like that. That's what you need to have like a 13-win season. But like, there's lots of really tough like divisional games which they did well in last year. But I'm also just looking and thinking that Bills team, fine, they could easily knock that team off, but playing the Chiefs is never nice. First game of the season in Arrowhead, that's rough. What else? There's a lot. There are some wins in there, right? Home to the Raiders, home to the Commanders, like away to the Bucks. I don't think those are especially challenging for the Ravens. I think they'll cruise those, and home to the Broncos. Well, always divisional games with the Steelers are tough. Divisional games against the Browns are never the easiest. They can be, but the Browns are always a tough out for most teams.
Yeah.
And with an improved Bengals team, I just think it's tough. You know, they've got the Texans in there too. They got the Giants, which is just a walkover. But outside of that, you know, like I'm easily counting 10 wins, and you'll get a couple more because of the quality. You'll get one more probably because of quality. It will be probably about that number, but I just see 11, not 12, just because of strength of schedule has got to play a part for me here. Like, Lamar Jackson was really healthy last year. They had a much easier schedule and they got 13 wins. Like, there's got to be some kind of hit from that for me, and it looks like 2 wins for me.
I do agree with you. When those divisional games, divisional matchups are often just a coin toss. Like, you cannot predict who's going to win those games half the time. So yeah, I agree with you that because of their strength of schedule, it's going to be tough. But I think they'll get 12. Just.
Okay,
that's fair. And this is one of those, right? When you've got a talented team like that are obviously better than a lot of teams they're playing against, it would not be surprising. I wouldn't be surprised if they got 12 wins. I just think getting 13 again would be a big stretch. Like, getting any team at 13 wins over under is tough with it in the division, or even in the conference. That's tough. Like like the whole NFL. Like, there's teams that are tough in there, right? So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they got 12, but I see 11.
Okay.
All right, on to the Bengals. Over or under 10.5? Go on, Dami.
You go, Ben.
You start.
Yeah, Dami, you go.
Okay. So, Joe Cool is back. And they've got Jamar Chase. I think they've kept T. Higgins. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think they've kept T. Higgins, or they've franchise tagged him. So they still got the 1-2 punch there at the wide receiver slot.
Yeah, they kept him.
I don't trust. I have now, I think it's 4 years of evidence to prove that Joe Burrow can't stay healthy. Either he can't stay healthy, or his team can't keep him healthy. Either way, these guys. Either way, I can't trust these guys to be available. So, are they going to get 11 wins? I don't think so. And that's purely based off, I don't think he'll stay healthy. I think there's something really wrong with his wrists that kept him out for such a long time. And I remember there was that bit where he had that compression sleeve on his wrist, but they didn't tell the NFL, and then the NFL had to check whether they had actually whether the Bengals had deceived the NFL about his injury, because that affected the betting lines. So I don't trust what's going on in Cincinnati at the moment. I think they don't have the hardest strength of schedule, but it's pretty tough. They've got some pretty tough games to go, and if he can't stay healthy, they don't have a chance. And I think they've just lost their offensive coordinator as well. So that's a change there as well. So yeah, I think it could be another 9-win season, maybe 8. I think they're going to struggle.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I just don't believe in his health.
Okay. I've got them at 11 wins. It is just massively dependent on him staying healthy, which I get is a big question mark. But last year, Lamar had his big question mark over health, and he was healthy the whole season. Like, so I don't know. It's not like, and Lamar's had injuries basically every year. So it's not like not everyone was like, well, Lamar, he's definitely going to get injured next year. I assumed he was going to get injured, and he didn't. It's not like it can't happen. But I do hear what you're saying. I have it at 11 because I'm assuming health. If he doesn't stay healthy, I think 9 wins is probably fair, because there's a couple of wins or a couple of games towards the end of the season which I would say are like should win games. And if he's injured towards the end, or he's injured throughout the end of the season, that's just a major problem for me. Like, for example, they've got Titans and Broncos in 2 of their last 4. I see those as at least 2 wins. They've then got a home to the Browns, which if you're going to win a game, it's going to be your home game. And they've got away to the Steelers, which is always a brutal game for them. That's their last game of the season. But I think they've got 3 winnable games there. So I I think if he's injured, like halfway through the season towards the end, the winnable games then become slightly less winnable, and that's when maybe it does start to drift further down. Like, they've got the Chiefs early on. If he can be healthy for that and give them a good game, because he often gives them a good game, then that does look slightly different. You know, that's not the first game of the season for them, it's their second after a home to the Patriots. Like, that is a slow fast ball right over the middle of the plate, ready for them to absolutely crush. So if you need a tune-up game, that's your tune-up game, right? Like, you couldn't ask for a better return for Joe Burrow home to the Patriots, really. So then, away to a Chiefs in Arrowhead, but then back home to the Commanders, then away to the Panthers. Like, even if you don't win that Chiefs game, you should be starting 3-1 there for me. But again, if he's unhealthy, that becomes more of a problem. But I'm assuming at least he plays at least, 15 of the games. I can still see them getting 11 wins.
Okay.
But I hear what you're saying.
All right. On to the Browns. Over or under 8.5 wins?
So I'll start on this one. I don't believe in Deshaun Watson anymore, man. I think he's lost it. I think it's just bad judges around that guy now for the rest of his career. I don't know what to say about that guy, because I remember when he was at the Texans and he was up like 24-0 on the Chiefs and he was balling, and I was like, this guy is incredible. Like, this guy is on the same tier as him, as Patrick Mahomes, as Josh Allen, as Lamar. And then since whatever he decided to do, he's looked worse than Russell Wilson, and that's saying a lot. Because Russell Wilson.
When you say whatever do you decide do you mean man commits crime?
Yeah, because officially has he been sentenced with any crime?
What do you do again? We should not be talking about this.
Let's move on. Basically, there's just bad judge around that guy, and he hasn't, and he can't play. And when he plays, he looks genuinely awful. Like, he's almost forgotten what made him good, and what made him a talent in this league. I also don't really, apart from Amari Cooper, I don't really believe in that offense. I know they've got the running backs, but running backs is position is especially when you get older, your production tends to go down, and they have got two running backs who are getting older, who have suffered really serious injuries over the last few years. So seeing them get 8.5 wins, I think, is a stretch. Their defense will carry them, because that's what happened last year. Their defense will carry them, but I see them getting 8.
I mean, they got 11 wins last year, and you think they're going to drop down to 8?
Yeah, but did you see Joe Flacco last year?
I mean,
didn't Amari Cooper get like 270 yards in a game once? You think that's happening again?
I mean,
why not?
Yeah, but
why not? He's got it.
Nah. What do you think, Ben?
What's the over or under again?
The over or under is 8.5.
Yeah, I think over. I think the thing that kind of sold it for me is, doesn't really seem to matter who their quarterback is. Like, they're always getting wins. They're always causing teams problems because they're just a hard-nosed, tough team to beat. You get major injuries, doesn't matter. Like, their main running back, Chubb goes down, irrelevant. Like, everyone's like, oh no, they're going to be much worse. Nope. Quarterback gets himself into, let's just call it, trouble, and they're fine. Like, it doesn't seem to faze them. They seem to have the foundations defensively, offensive line, to carry the team. Which is, if I were a GM, I would build my team that way: is offensive line, then defense, then a running game, and then build around that with a younger quarterback. That's how I would build it, and that just seems to be actually fairly effectively for the Browns how they're trying to do it. But I appreciate, no one loves the Browns, everyone likes to bag on the Browns, but they've been not bad. Like, yeah, they're not going to compete and win a championship, but they'll get you. What was it? 11 wins last year. 11 wins with that team. Like, who would have even thought that they could get that many wins? Like, they always seem to be there or thereabouts or causing teams problems, and I don't see that changing significantly. So I've got them at 10. I see 10.
Yeah.
But 9 also very doable, but under 8.5. You said 8.5, right? That's tough. That's harsh. I don't really see that. I think 9 or 10.
8, so
yeah, I think that's harsh. I don't know. From that schedule, their division is very tough. Like winning any of those 6 games is going to be challenging. But the Browns always seem to pull out 1 or 2 of those games. So I don't know. For me, I've got it at 10, but 9. You could argue me down to 9, but I ain't going lower than 9 on a Browns team that's been that solid and tough to beat.
They do have the toughest strength of schedule, though, out of any team.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's not an easy road, but I don't know. Like, I find it hard to argue against a team that has played tough teams tough and come out with wins in games where you expect them to just get absolutely smoked. Like, I get that. If you're looking at, like, I don't know, you're looking at the who's a good example? Like the Panthers. Or like a Panthers team, and you're like, oh, I expect them to get smoked in this game. Oh, they got absolutely smoked. You're like, yeah, that's just sort of what I expected. I see games with the Browns. I'm like, oh, they're probably going to get smoked by 2 or 3 touchdowns, and it's a field goal loss. And you're like, they play teams tough. So I don't know. I hear what you're saying, and strength of schedule I've spoken about a lot in this episode, and it definitely should matter, and it definitely matters more for some teams, but for the Browns, it just doesn't feel like it ever seems to affect them that much. They play everyone tough, and yeah, they definitely lose a lot of games, but they always seem to come out with wins that you don't expect. So totally fair. I don't feel like they'll go lower than 9 wins, but I understand why you've gone there.
Okay. All right, we'll finish off the division on the Steelers. So over or under 7.5 wins. Start with you, Ben.
I got them at 9. Again, it's a similar reason to the Browns. They always play teams tough, especially in division. Like, no one seems to, again, smoke the Steelers that much. And as long as JJ Watt's there, they ain't getting killed by anybody. Like, JJ Watt is just that guy. He is him. And he's not letting anyone crush his team ever. Like, that's not happening any time in his lifetime. So, I don't know. I have them getting 9. I don't think that's unreasonable. They got 10 last year. Are they going to be a lot worse? The schedule, again, isn't easy, and with a Bengals team that's resurgent, that he could easily knock a win off of them. But for me, it's 9 wins at the moment.
Yeah. Ben, by the way, it was TJ Watt. I mean, if they had JJ
Did I say JJ?
Yeah. If they had JJ Watt, holy. And I'm putting them down for 15 wins.
Bro, I need JJ Watt back in my life, man. TJ Watt, that's my bad. That's my bad. I meant TJ.
Burnley, man, you'll see a lot of him.
Yeah, man.
JJ. Jesus.
Yeah, but I'm putting them on 9 wins for no other reason than I'm putting them down for 9 wins because their head coach in 17 years has never had a losing season. His name just escaped me, but yeah, he's never had a losing season.
Mike Tomlin.
17 years. Mike Tomlin in 17 years. Why would it start now? He's got 2 quarterbacks. Yeah, Russell Wilson, not sure. Justin Fields, again, not sure. But he finds a way. Tough defense. They always play their divisional opponents really tough. Like Ben was talking about the Cleveland Browns. The Steelers are just like that, especially in their division. They get wins that they probably shouldn't win. And Mike Tomlin just knows a way to get enough wins to either make the playoffs or be damn close to making the playoffs. Every year, he's only one. I think the year that they missed it last year, they were in it until the last game of the season. Yeah. So he's an excellent coach. He knows what he's doing. I will never back against them I'll never back against them. I think they'll get 9 wins minimum. I don't see them doing much better than that, to be honest. I think they lack talent in a lot of positions. I know Pickens is quite good. I really like Warren. He was the only good player in my fantasy last year, but we won't talk about that. But yeah, so I think 9 wins, but that's as far as it goes for them. I don't even see them making the playoffs, to be honest.
How do you reckon Tomlin's going to use Fields and Russell Wilson?
I think initially Wilson gets the starting job, but he gets a very short leash. I mean, I'm talking 1 bad game, maybe 2 max, and if he stinks out the joint, they'll just go straight to Justin Fields. Because also, I think the Steeler fans, they're going to be quite impatient with Russell, because I'm not sure they're happy with that move, and they see Justin Fields. He's relatively very young, so he's like, there's some room for growth. Whereas with Russell Wilson, I think what you see is what you get now. I don't see him improving much. And there was the whole issue with the Steelers' offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, where they had to end up getting rid of him. And I don't know if the offensive coordinator they've brought in is going to be any better. So, yeah, I think Russell Wilson gets a very short leash. And if he doesn't absolutely excel in the first 2 games, he's out, and Justin Fields gets the job for the rest of the season.
Can they use both and rotate? Is that something that's ever been done before? If it's not,
yeah, the Patriots did it.
Why can't it start now?
Yeah, Patriots did it. How did that go?
When was that?
Last year when they rotated Bailey Zappi.
I mean, that's not rotating 2 trash options. I'm talking about rotating 2 potential players who have very different elements in their game. And you can use them at different times, different ways.
Teams have done that. They've brought in. It happens more at college. I mean, college they do all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah. But that you'll bring in, I don't know, a quarterback who's a specialist runner when you want to bring someone in for a special play and things like that. Like that does happen. I don't see. It doesn't happen in the NFL so much because your team reacts off of cadence, and so does the defense. And if you don't have that consistency, that can just cause you problems with flags and stuff. And your team don't know where everyone's going to be. You mix up plays. Teams have, I'm sure, tried it before, and it never works out the way you hope it's going to. Like, because that consistency, and again, I was talking about before, that capital, that social capital between the players. And yes, you could still have it with the backup quarterback, but routine, getting into a consistency, understanding cadence, your timing all fits based off of that group of players, which is why healthy teams are just often a lot more consistent. Like, 1 injury here, 1 injury there. They'd say that it's 25%, which is when 25% of your team changes over. Anything over that, you start to see a significant change in performance in the whole team because everyone works together. So I think for me, doing that and rotating would be a challenge and would be a risk that, and Mike Tomlin's a no-nonsense kind of coach. He's not interested in that. He's going to pick a quarterback and stay with it. That's where I do slightly disagree with you, Dami. I think this Russell Wilson will be in a short leash from Mike Tomlin, which will mean I think he'll go, this is your team, make it work. I think 4 or 5 games. Okay. I think if it starts really poorly, he'll question it, but I don't think he'll move away too aggressively, if I'm honest. But I do see why you'd think he might. I just think with Mike Tomlin, he's going to give Russell Wilson more time. Russell Wilson's an experienced guy. He's going to give him his chance, particularly their first 5 games, right? They've got Falcons, Broncos, Chargers, Colts, Cowboys. I think if they're anything under 500 come the Cowboys game, I think he'll be in some trouble by the Cowboys game.
Yeah, I mean,
which is home to the Cowboys.
I definitely see at least 2 wins there, minimum.
That's it, right? Even with Russell Wilson maybe not balling out, you could see a couple wins there. Yeah, because the defense is good. You've still got TJ Watt. You've got Highsmith. Like, they've got players, right?
I'd see that Cowboys game as the only game they're definitely going to lose in that fight.
It's home to the Cowboys, but yeah, I think they probably do lose that. But, you know, they've got, say, away to the Falcons, away to the Broncos, home to the Chargers, away to the Colts. Away to the Colts may not be easy, but you'd expect him to come out with, you'd expect him to be 2-2. Does he lose his job for 2-2? I don't think so. I think he probably keeps it. And if he gets,
he should, but if he plays poorly, then there's going to be a distinct lack of patience with him from the fans, for sure. I think the fans are already not on board, but of course, like, Mike Tomlin shouldn't just listen to the fans. But
no, and they trust him, right? They trust Mike Tomlin. They may not trust Russell Wilson, but they trust Mike Tomlin. But yeah, if they're 4-1 after the Cowboys game, I think you're going to really struggle to keep Russell Wilson in that starting role at that point. But
Sure.
2-3, you're 2-2, you lose to the Cowboys. I think that's a big one. I think that's fair. I think they'd probably keep him off that. But 4-1, maybe you'd get some more pressure for games that maybe you should have won. Particularly because that defense always keeps you in games as well. So it's very likely that you'd be close in a couple of games and then losing close games, like a lot of them. And that's going to really annoy fans, particularly when you've got a player that's as experienced as Russell Wilson, who you'd expect to be able to manage and coach them through those games. Yeah, I think there'd be some problems if they're 4-1.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, cool. We've done the AFC East and North in about 50 minutes, so we've talked a lot longer than we planned to. So we might cut it here and pick up the AFC West and South in another episode, as well as the NFC. We'll figure out how we do that, whether we switch up the style. Ben and Dami like to talk a lot.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
I got a lot of detail. It's good.
We're enjoying ourselves, man.
Yeah.
When I start pulling up strength of schedule and getting into the games, it becomes a problem.
You read out the full schedule multiple times.
I'm feeling it.
Even whether the games are going to be cold or not.
I need that. I need my cogent analysis.
But it's all good stuff.
It matters, man. It matters.
It's good stuff,
especially with Tua.
All right. We'll cut it then, and then we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Cool. Catch you guys.